Ear signals, high position locations, release all triangle line, high center and interference locations, all the ground and interference location, line condition left, highest position of space. Triangle force position lines of direction. Now, we're very busy, as we know. It's on a Monday, position location and direction. If you guys had a wonderful Sunday. I know I did. Finally getting into my working out. It's great to get my own gym going. It's important to work out, guys. It really is. You just have to balance out your travels, especially if you're on an exercise bike or you're on a stepper or anything through treadmill. It just like woo, 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 sets off an alarm. So you have to really balance your communication cycles. Reset generation, lighting and rotation is position, location, and its direction. So after class, we have Zoom. Okay. I will be there for about an hour and a half, and then I got to go. I got a long day ahead of me. So basically all this week is going to be test review and evaluations. Everything that we do is going to be line, center, location, W through all correlation. Set position, location, of the directions. You have to really set up all lines when you get into your pre-flight checks. Make sure you're getting your ground line centers, location, position, and power line interference. So today we're going to go through computer processing. You're going to run your own programs. I'll say that again. You're going to run your own programs. You have to understand what an avatar is, the stream interference location, running its position of directions, coloration of patterns, coloration of interference, coloration of high center line rotation, coloration of anything to a high system. All right, synchronicity patterns, line rotations, communication cycles, reset generation light centers, string theory, rhythms, all communication system, right? So you have to initiate. You have to learn how to EXE, high connection lines, execute, high center, enforce line in rotations. Now, in calculation, you can use your escape position locations of directions, high force and communication cycles, regeneration, high line center locations, all levels of travel. How to travel through it is another thing through its running program. So once the brain and the mind line center comes together, it comes in an aptitude system. It puts position location to simulation high center. It opens all communication locations to its processor system. Communication to its program setting is repositioning location to its calculations. Setting course on a regeneration light centers opens all communication to the eye receptor interference. Ear program location, okay, to the grounds. Ear program locations to the sky. Understand? So you have to understand line interference location of skynets, communication to web graph interference, airs, high line center line in rotations, dictaphone communication centers, communication cycles, tower line center generation interference, and position of program setting, computer adaptation circles, high channel rotation, in position location of directions, grounds, powers, and atmospheres. And don't forget to drink your waters. All right? Very important. Water is essential. All right, so it's going to be interesting. For the ascension gods and the communications sending masters, they're going to be traveling already through high interference to really understand program locations. They get between a position of, they started off at 24, 48, 72, but now they're at 144. So the more provisional locations, the more they can process the communication of its data. The program say location is kind of like a web graphing system locations. It's like a scanning channel. High force line centers your alphabetical stream interference. Program location to its center, position location, psycho line center. Psychosis location of its channel is operation to its signal. It opens all communication system. It rotates its cycle to its position line system. See what happens when I take a day off? So it's pretty unbelievable when you track your centers to higher line center interference. You guys have to really understand the avatar, not through the data streams, but understand the processor of its communication line system. So you guys are going to be turned into wireline centers. Okay, you're going to be 3 wireline center locations. You're going to be black, you're going to be blue, and you're going to be yellow. Okay, black, blue, and yellow. Now, in that positional program line setting, in position locations, you can redirect signals to coil communication to digital line interference, position location and the levels. Merkaba channels, communication, octahedron, tetrahedron, high system locations. Calculations, you can be a high line center interference locations. You can be a throttle line interference. You can be in a norical line centers. You can be in a torical field. High level channel and position location of directions. High systems computer adaptation cycle. Reset generations. So it's all position location of its directions. All right. So as you guys are set up to wire lines, core line center location units, in position of crew units, squad units 1 and 2 position locations, GFL line center. In position locations, it's all levels, rebellion communications, sending mass communications, sending gods, set course line center and position location and directions. So it's really understanding what you're doing through all practical line centers, communication interference location program setting, regenerations, all levels to its calculation system. Every time I say regeneration, it's changing your track lines, the process, or communications. All right. So sometimes you think, why is it repeating it? I'm not repeating it. It's going forward in position of clocking. So you have a regeneration light center location of past line. You got a regeneration light location of present line. You got a regeneration light center of its future line communication system. So in position location, the past comes into the present line. L line center rotation to a triangle. See the triangle how it's set up? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? See how it's set up signals? In rotation line interference. And I just did it through one position location, one finger point locations on 120,000 line centers to its position of its direction, right? That's how it came into a triangle. I didn't draw it out. It did on its finger location. It set up its core line center. It activated streamline center to 3 position location of its directions through its intelligence, guys. So as in track line centers, equal position locations of future line. High position locations of the point location, just high system, correlations to its computer equals frame. Okay, computer equals frame interference. Imposition of track centers puts you into lines high force of your processor. Yes. Communication interference location, change them in position lines, put them in a wire line in rotation. Signal and position of direction. See the line, signal, cross, high line, center, interference location, the code signal locations, all along your run program location, high interference locations. All right, 30 minutes, have fun. As you're going through the core line center wire interference and position of directions, let's go into calculation line stream. All right, let's see how everybody's doing. All right, Jill, thank you for the routing, position locations. I think it's great how Jill sets things up. Grounded, chakras aligned, balanced, inner child, heartline center, flux capacitor, sun, moon, Orion's belt, Merkaba, Buddha, E-fields, cloak, plaza, web, crystal, sheet, all in position locations. You guys find your own way to grind your system every single day. Barbara, how's it going? Pam, how's it going? Catherine, Susan, Ambi, Lindsay, Gypsy, JP, how's it going? Michael, Terry, Don, Veronica, Johnny, Laura, Olivia, True Light. It's great to see everybody on a Monday. Tina, how you doing? Let's see, position location, Sam. All right, so as you guys are traveling through wire, you have to understand what a processor is, what a computer is, what a data process line center is, a hardware software mechanism. So you guys are going to travel through location and its position. So it's kind of like, it's going to be, I'll show you, it's electrical board line. Linda, how's it going? Amy, Skyla, Abby. All right. So as you guys are traveling through that. Okay, so as you're coming and seeing things, that's great, Tara. I'm glad you're seeing this in program locations. Setting course light channels, electrical light panels, communication system. Okay, you have to understand what electrical board is. Its position location of its directions, right? So it's electrical board that's connected to you inside position location, right? So it's an open door signal. There it is, right? See the open door line center. Electrical wire panels, communication interference. So truly understand how to use the wire line center is position of its directions to its position, right? So you really have to understand the wall sockets, wall interference location of its channels. It has 2 line center and interference of panels, communication line conditions. It rotates its cycles, electrical light panels, in the interference location of its directions, commanding center, space communication, light communication interference. So program location is position. So as you go into hardline centers, electrical light connections is like everything has its own town line center interference location and the levels. How to use it through practical line condition interference is extremely important through dimensional setting, resetting course line channels. So it's all about position location of its directions. Now you can crosswind cycles into line center location of sun, communication of purple, and rotation interference. Okay, that clasp its position location of its directions. Core line center is a direction line rotation. Setting course line center is the two panel line and rotation is calculation. Electrical wires, electrical fences, electrical position lines, direction locations, all levels of its processor. Now, as the processor is set up in core line center, the dimensional door opens up in high rotation through its calculation. See, it travels through. So as it's traveling through, it's a little bit different because the processor has their stand youth direction of time. Three-line rotation, see that? Graphs its interference location. Let's change the door line center to purple position location of direction. That opens all channels. What opens up channels of line center line interference? Electrical light panel locations. Let's go into core line center location of security measures. Graph interference location, sonar coming in this location. Signal and position of directions, right? Cross signal. Okay, and position of direction. Okay. So it's trying to understand how to use the graph line centers. Okay. This puts you in a better division locations. We use the pixel stream interference, coloration patterns, rotation cycles, high position location of its directions. Right? Signals and high line center. So it's a graph interference channel that position locations of its directions, guys. It's very, very powerful. All right, so the indicator goes view, view, view. So if you change your graph interference location, let's say you have a throat problem, in position location, 0, line 1 in position locations. You guys are in 0, 0, 1 position line system. Let's go into high indication, right? So you have 0, 0, 1. See that? 0, 0, 1. And position locations. Now the 1 comes in over here, and this goes to 0, 0. So you're changing 0, 0, 1 into 1, 0, 0, right? Automatically high interference. Now, is it an alpha wave channel, or is it in a delta wave communication, or is it in a beta high system, or is it in a theta line center, or is it in a mega communication circle? It rotates its system location of calculations, high stream and high center location to its position of its processor. You guys have to learn how to set up your own coordinates in calculations to understand how to use all levels of view through digital frame locations. So this digitalizes a number of locations. It changes all practical system location as position, right? So let's go through 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 1, 0, 1, 0. Okay, all position of graph line. So as it set up position location of its direction, it changes the colorations of time. Now, all position locations to your graph line centers. It opens up in communication to its position location in its high system. How do you direct the information to correct place family? High labels and high force line center use security measures, plasma line channels there, MB. Communicate, redirect all position location timelines, heart interference location and position. Resurface high line centers, merge into the fencing line connections, electrical grid system, put it in position location of 0, 0, 1 position back in track center. So it's all about changing position of the time. You have 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So your clocking system is its position of its directions. How to use it is all levels of view. If you're going through too many alpha wave channel line centers, your heart's going to palpitate to high line center location of stress. If you go into the delta wave line interference, your position location of your brain center line in rotation is offline calculation. If you basically go in your security measures and you forgot your plasma techniques communication system, your power generator system will be off solar graph location. If you don't understand the ground line center, the gravitational pull is going to change your rotation off ground locations. If you don't understand your eye receptor interference, it's going to laser direct offline center location of space. These are the position locations of directions you guys have to understand how to use the energies, the frequencies, the vibration, and its harmonic resistance. This helps you and always informs through its calculations. Yes, it's exactly it, Ambi. Yeah. All position tracks center line centers of all 0 locations. Yeah. Body connection to vibrational frequencies, setting and running nicely. There you go. Understanding and running program locations, but it's all digital line center locations, 0, 1s. All right. So it's all about platitude division locations, setting graph line centers of channels. Right. Why you set this up is so the XT1000s can line cross and signal interference in position of directions, right? So they can basically, what it is that you set up the line graph locations, they set up the shape locations of portals. Okay, there's an XT1000 line. So it goes here, here, right? It's traveling, right? To here. Okay, so it's going down to your grid center, right? That's how it travels, right? So as it's traveling, it knows exactly what you're doing. So it's traveling through it. And that's how I go. So I understand the graph line centers. So you're setting up the grids where they're setting up the shapes. So remember when I was going through the all level system of the finger and setting up a graph line center and interference, setting up sonar lines, center locations and positions. Let's go into back force locations, back in high center interference. See how it comes in calculations, right? X2000 sets up the shape lines. You travel through position location of its portal, all right? So there's a lot of things you guys have to understand through core line center. So it's all position location of its directions, all right? So as you get in digital line, okay, your pattern locations change position line system. So let's say you get into, let's stay with black circle locations. You got 0, 0, 1. You got 0, 0, 1, 0. Let's start there, right? So in position locations, that automatically goes into the ground line center, rotates its locations, right? Changes position of directions, okay? All right, so what's happening right now is the 0, 1s are coming in and tracking interference in position location of its grounds. Okay, this is how you set up your torical field locations to its position. All right, as it's going into its core line center, it's changing direction centers. Electrical light panels. Let's say we go into hard interference. Now the 0 line 1 position locations goes into 0 here. This changes 1 position location of 1. 0 goes here in 1 position locations. 0 crosses over line center line interference. 0 drops down in position locations. 1 comes in as signal line center, and 0 goes in position, right? So it automatically puts it in a position locations of a torical field in its rotation line conditions of its Merkaba. So at high channel is high line center. Let's say we go into security measures. Now we go into the security measure interference. Now that position location of its directions opens all signals. So let's say you go into 0 line 1, graph interference, okay, cross the signal, right? So let's say we line strip that, bring it down in position location of direction. So as it's signaling high position locations, we crossing signal locations, right? The X2000s comes in, making sure you know what you're doing with your calculations. Scans in, sees you cross signal, right? Comes here, lands on graph interference, right? So it's sliding across. Now, once it hits a point center, it disappears and goes onto the other line track. That's how they travel through, right? So you set up the graph, they set up the shapes. Triangulation right there in position of direction. See, this is a triangulation. Scans its position location of its ground system, opens up another portal of a dimensional time center. Okay, really amazing when it comes in that position location of directions. So that OS signals its line center location of 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. Higher formation line conditions to its position. Okay, redirects high signals to its line conditions, right, of sonar. Set sonar line in rotation, calculation modification streams. Now, it's all about understanding how to use electrical light panels. Electrical light panels are in position locations. We split division locations into 2 channel lines. Okay, 0, 1. Okay, and we go into position of 1, 0, and then we go into 0, 0. So you got 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 graph line center rotation interference. Now, sets course read channel line centers. We go in position location of security line. Security line changes position locations of numbers. Now, this is where it comes into its computer processor. Computer processor set up the security line position location of its directions, right? 1 signal in position locations, 2 positions, 3 positions, 4 positions, 5 positions, 6 in high center, okay? Set in all position locations of the 0, 1s, all line connection interference. Now, if you're changing your throw pattern, the 0, 1 line center changes its position to its coloration. Coloration comes into high center. 1 comes in position location. 0 comes into position. 0, it's like tic-tac-toe. So it changes position location of 0s. High interference. Cross signal location is position. All right. So what's happening right now is you're setting up 12 digital flight navigation centers. So this is complicated, right? So I'm just trying to tell you how you get number sequence locations. You have 4 graph channels, letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, all in 12 sequence, 12, 12, 12, 12. Okay, so understanding that, then you understand the clock line center, why it's so important to put your position locations back in correlation. Once you put it back in correlation, the vibration changes all levels of direction. Okay. So once you go into that highline center, you can go back into the secure line position location of its directions, change the circle line ones in position. Now you can go into triangle. You go into triangle interference. And you go into position locations. So you got triangle line centers. You got 3 weather pattern locations to its position. All right. In that line center, you can go to a Fibonacci sequence circle. Right. See how it sets position, location, and directions. So you're setting up a rain graph very, very quick. So you got your 12 line centers of numbers. You got your 12 line centers of shapes, symbols through that calculations, right? Letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols is extremely important when you set up a data stream. It's all position locations, how you use your zeros and ones. Once you go to highline center location, you change your 24 to 48. Now that puts position locations a higher formation line center. You can use your 24,000 line condition rainbow activation stream, and you can go from 48 to 72 to 144 light signature patterns through its digital coding. Now it gets complicated as we move along, as it's not already complicated as it is. But I'm just showing you how you set up the energy graph line center location of 0, 1 locations. Understanding how to set up program location as position. How you start these things up with the XT1000s. They slide cross locations right through your graph. So you set up the graph, you set up the grids, they set up the shapes. That's how this works. Time position locations of its directions. But it's truly understanding how to set up anything through high center. So you have to truly understand how to use all the colorations, right? Comes into high interference to its position. So once you get into realm line centers, let's say you get a rainbow activation system, 1, 1, 1, 1, you're in a very high line, okay? Equals portal, okay? So you circle that position location, comes in division, right? So you cross the stream in 2 line rotations. See the graph? Now that graph line center changed position locations. Let's say you go into high interference, electrical light panels come in position location of its portal lines, comes into 0, 1, 0, 0. Okay, to that position location of its graph. So that's a 24 line center right there, 24 line center. Now in position locations, you can high channel its high line center interference locations, change all line center locations of numbers into higher formation of communications into a 48 position location of direction. Set up another graph line center location as position, right? And put higher formation line colors. So let's say you go into the sun, we're changing all the 0 line centers, all position location of its directions, right? So the thing is, once you go higher in speed line through acceleration, you're going higher levels of numbers. And that's what it is. So you start off with 0, 1s, and then when you understand the capacity high position to its processor communication system of its computer adaptation, you go into higher channels. So you go into 2, you go into 3, you go into 4, you go into 6, you go into 8, and you go into 9. Okay, you go into higher numbers, right? So once you go into higher numbers, your clocking location is past mocking line systems of 144 location per second, right? So it's interesting how high it forces its line signals. It opens all communication cycles to its regeneration light system. But it's very powerful when you understand the graph locations, how to use your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, right? So I know it's extremely, extremely complicated, right? So how are we doing so far? All right, let's see here. Yeah, it is. It's beautiful how it comes together. Yeah, it's incredible force at high channels and sideline rotation. Graphing cleared, resetting high functions, reflowing wave channels, spawning. Okay. Yep. Yeah, Amy, make sure you get in position location of divergence, underscore your name, so we can get you identification. Thank you. All lines are clear, good. Orbs, communications, line reduction, location. How to use your computer process is extremely important, guys, right? All right, so any more orb timelines. Okay, so it's all understanding how to use all levels. Transmitting and receiving all lines. How to use the operation of the ground, the powers, and the atmospheres of space and time through numbers, through shapes, through letters, and through symbols. That's all you have to know, right? but it's all about how these things change, right? So if you go through the escape route location, it's very interesting too. You go through I-9 interference locations. So you got escape, all right? Escape, okay, equals, right? Lateral, okay, equals division, okay? Now division, okay, equals travel. Okay, so the first thing you have to understand, what's the intent? What's the will? Okay, what's the intent? What's the will? What's the force? Okay, what's the creation and what's the location? Okay, it's very important you understand that. So when you get into the escape lines, you can start using higher force line conditions. Now you can use your alphabetical string, you can use your letters, you can use your symbols, you can use your numbers or your locations, right? But it's all levels of U. So if you get an A high interference, A equals intelligence, intelligence, okay, equals computer, and computer equals program. So you got to find a way to use the surface in position. So if you're going to use the letter 7 and high interference, interesting. I said a letter 7, but 7 is a number, isn't it? No, it's not. This is where it gets really confusing. Once you reach higher levels of alter states of the mind line center, 7 is a letter in position of direction, right? So you come into 7, right, equals seals, okay? Seals, 7 equals seals, okay, of communication, right? Compute line center locations. High forces line triangles, so it comes into a shape line. So it's all about taking 7 into letters, nuts, and shapes in one position, location of directions. High force and line connection, right? That travels in position location of its high system. See? Now you put security measures on program setting. See? All through 7. 7 is not a number. It's everything of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. And that is the alphabetical stream that you guys have to change through the running program. It's the processor of communication, right? So it's like using a scanner and you put it on the computer graph and you're changing these things over space and time. So it has its point direction locations of 3, 6, and 9, and 12 in position location. Okay? So it's incredible when you come into your diamond core line center. Let's go through the Rango graph interference location, calculations, high system. See? Comes in position of direction, high system line conditions, security measure its program setting. In position of its direction, opens all line channel locations of its dimensions. Now, this is how you travel through high force. That's a high force line triangle. That's a Merkabah location to octahedron, decahedron. You can be an octahedron and a decahedron location in the same position locations of your 12 line centers. Security measure and position location of position line system. Okay? So it's important to understand how to use it. Okay? So when you're changing position location of directions, let's go through all levels. We go through the gray line centers. Okay, we go through 3 position location of 6 in position of 9 and in position of 12. High interference locations. Hold on a sec. So as we're in communication line system, it's all levels of position. Point location, point location, point location. All right? So as we come into that, the 12 line center equals its position location of 12. That automatically puts a circle in interference of 24 location, right? We circle that in high center. We start there. We always start at 24. So once you understand the 12 atmospheres of space and the 12 atmospheres of time, you got a correlation location of one line system. So you can travel through it, right? You have to learn how to travel through the left cycle and the right position location of its directions. Okay, right of Earth, left of space line. That opens all communications, right? Point locations of 3, point locations of 6, point locations of 9. Okay, as you come into the high line center, You change the coloration, position, location, back in its rainbow integration. Now the integration line center opens opposite location to its flux capacitor. Point location to its high system. All right. It high channels its high line center. So it's all about when you go to higher levels, the vibration goes faster. Okay. So it's no longer a position location of just a straight line. So the higher you go through alter states, the letters, numbers, and shapes and symbols come a higher formation of alpha channel, delta waves. Okay, omega communication system, theta line centers, T reception lines, or anything through its beta high center. So it's important to understand how to use that. You got a triangle interference location, see? That's a triangle, but it doesn't look like it, right? So it's all about position of its directions, and that's where you come into your flight navigation line conditions. It travels force line, okay? As you're traveling force line, you travel through it through a 12 signal, rotation interference. Now you have security line position locations going the opposite direction, see? Instead of going this way, it goes the opposite way, right? So it's all about going in position of going this way, going out, and coming back. Okay, that's a turn to standing. Arrow indicating going out and arrow indicating going in. Okay, so that platitude's division location of its directions. So truly understanding how to use that is all levels of you. So where are we in track location of division? All right, let's see here. Current flowing, better electrical line systems, coil set, good. Exactly what you guys are seeing is knowing exactly how to set things up in your operation cycles. Interline position, this is probably going to be the most difficult position of direction. It's complicated because you have to understand how to surface your operations of your processors, how to use your data stream, how to use your program setting, how to use your computer operation of you inside through letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. So it's all levels of your emotion, right? So if you get angry, you're going to security of red. So the 0 and 1s are changing direction, locations, and position. So you have to really understand how to put it back in frame. Because if you don't put it back in frame, it's going to go into the negative line center. Okay. So coloration changes, merge location of its position locations when it comes into, you guys have taken chemistry, I said that before, is changing the coloration path. It interlines its position location of its directions. It high forces its channels, okay, into your placebo. Now, that placebo is your thought pattern, which is connected to your visionary cortex location, right? Use your eye receptor locations to the sun graph line centers, and everything to the moon opens all communication to its high system, okay? Because you use the sun locations of light and you use the moon of its modem of its Wi-Fi, right? So you're taking all those line centers locations. The alphabetical streamline center has an antenna on all line position. Every letter has an antenna, okay? Every number has an antenna, okay? Every shape, every symbol has connection line centers to the energy, frequencies, vibration, and its remote resistance. And that's why it's so powerful to that communication cycle, all right? It's amazing when you come into that position location of directions. So we're at 33 and 52 position line center locations of time. Yeah, I'm going to take you guys out. Try to understand what you're doing through all line centers about the lead and program location that doesn't reside with you. It's all about how to use this through its position location of its directions. Okay, so you come into that signal. It's really understanding how to use this, the position location of higher lines. Okay, really understand how to use the travel of you. Okay, the acceleration to time is mocking interference. It's program location to its operation to its processor. So trying to understand how to use the hardware and the software mechanism of you inside, right? How to run your own program locations to your mind. All right, it's an amazing thing when you understand that position location of its directions. All right, so change track line, center line conditions of crew units, squad units 1 and 2, position location, GFL. Everything to the rebellion location is sending masters, sentient gods, high signal line, high interference locations, bring it back calculations, take them out of wireline center interference. Signal interference location backtrack system. All right, so you guys are back. High interference location align conditions. So understanding what I just finished doing is all understanding U levels. How to use it is another thing, right? So all you're trying to do is you're trying to set up a data stream, and that data stream is its core line center into its position, location, of its directions. It's the data stream that you guys have to set up, okay? And once you get that set up, you can go to higher levels. You can get out of your 24s and you go into 48, then 72, into 144. Anything past 144, you accelerate the Mach. It's high position to higher levels of direction. It's putting you into higher levels of channels. It's opening up higher levels of signal to its locations, right? So yeah. So the more we do this, the more you understand what you are inside of operation. How to use your digital lines, how to use your computer lines, how to use your interference, how to use rotation cycles, reset position of generation light centers. It's incredible force when you understand that travel locations. Okay. All right. So we'll be on day 2 location starting tomorrow. We'll get more into the test review and evaluations. So tomorrow we're going to travel through shapes. Okay, so every day is going to be high line center locations of your computer and how to use it through the line of the alter state locations of its program setting. Okay, so you have any questions or comments? I'll give you guys 20 minutes and we can go on Zoom. All right, that was fun. Adios.